Hi science class, this is Mrs. Lysick, and I want to read to you a book called Crow, Not Crow by Jane Yolen. The first day Dad took me out birding, the sky was the color of Mom's old pearl ring. The trees were draped with birds. It was very noisy. My brothers all love to go birding with Dad. They don't have any trouble telling one bird from another. But to me, birds pretty much look the same. Wing, beaks, legs. And sometimes when I see them flying far away, they're just blurs against the sky. Maybe the boys have better eyes, I said. Dad handed me a pair of small binoculars, just the right size for my hands. Your eyes are fine, he told me. You just have to learn how to see and what to look for. He pointed to a line of bugs at my feet. What do you see there? Ants. And there, he said, pointing up at a tree, where a squirrel with its tail raised like an umbrella sat on a sturdy limb. A squirrel. And there, he pointed out at the meadow, where birds hopped on the ground and perched in the trees and soared across the morning sky. Birds? I asked. Dad nodded. It all begins with crow, not crow. What begins? Birding, he said. We trudged into the meadow. All around us birds were singing, hollering really. As we walked through the grass, we scared some of the birds up into the air. Before I was able to get my binoculars up to my eyes, those birds were gone. Fast, I whispered. But one bird didn't fly off. It was as black as a night without any moon or stars. Sitting on a tree branch, the bird glared down at me and opened its beak. Caw, 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 it said. Dad pointed at it. Crow, he said. Crow, I repeated, and smiled, just a little. Now, find him in your binoculars, Dad whispered as we knelt carefully to make ourselves small. And be very still. The only parts of me moving now were my arms as I put the binoculars up to my eyes. The crow was suddenly huge. Tell me what you see, Dad said. A big black bird. Is it all black? The crow was so big I had to move the binoculars around to see all of him. His wings are black. I took a deep breath. His legs are black. I took another look. Even his beak is black. And, Dad whispered, he's all black, I whispered back. All. Lowering my binoculars, I watched him fly away. His wingtips spread out like long black fingers. Crow, I named it. I owned it. We walked through the meadow to a marshy stream. A black bird with a red and yellow band on its wing like a medal of war sat on a cattail. He's very black, I said. Crow? Did the crow have a red medallion on his wing? Think back to what you saw before. Picture it in your head. I thought about the crow. All black. Black legs, black beak, black wings, black. I shook my head. Not crow, Dad said. A flock of black birds settled into a field beyond the stream. I put my binoculars up. Their feathers were dotted with white, like stars in the night sky. Crow? I didn't take my binoculars off of them. What color are their beaks? Dad asked, even though I was sure he knew the answer. Yellow, I said, and they have stars on their feathers. Not crow, Dad said. I looked at the not crows and tried to really see them, their yellow beaks, their night sky feathers. I spotted one in the flock that was different. It had plain black feathers and a dark beak. Hey, I whispered loudly, there's a different bird in there. Taking a deep breath, I steadied my binoculars. It's all black. Is it? I looked again, squinted, stared. At last I said, "No, its head is brown." "Not crow," Dad said. "Not crow," I repeated. A bird called out from a nearby tree. "Chuck, chuck," it said. It was so close that I barely needed my binoculars. "It's all black," I whispered. "Its wings are black. Its legs are black. Even its beak is black." I put down my binoculars and grinned up at Dad. "Crow!" He shook his head. "Look again." "It's the wrong shape?" Dad nodded. "Wrong shape. And its eye is bright," I shouted, which made the bird fly off. "Crow's eye is all black." Dad smiled. "You remembered." I nodded. "I did." "Not crow!" I yelled, pointing at the fork-tailed birds twisting over the meadow. "Not crow!" I yelled at a yellow bird on a fence post with a V on its chest. "Not crow!" At a wide-winged bird soaring over our heads. I laughed and ran, and Dad took big steps to keep up. "Not crow!" I called to the tiny bird with the bandit mask. "Not crow!" to the tiny bird with the black cap and beard. "Not crow!" to the gray bird with the flashing wings. Suddenly, there he was, peering with one black eye down at me. From the branch of a maple tree. "Caw, caw," he said. "Crow." I named him. Dad agreed. "Crow." "Crow," I said. "I see him, Dad. I really see him." "I know," Dad said. He put his hand on my shoulder, but lightly so he wouldn't shake my binoculars. "I see him too." Eventually, my binoculars got heavy. Eventually, the crow flew off. Eventually, we headed for home, sometimes walking, sometimes pretending to fly. On the bird feeder near our kitchen window sat a red bird with a tiny crest on its head. "Not crow," I said, a bit out of breath. We'd walked a long way, and birding is hard work. Seeing, really seeing, is even harder. But this afternoon, or maybe tomorrow, I might learn a new bird. Maybe sparrow, not sparrow. Maybe owl, not owl, and the next day another, till I'm as good a birder as my brothers, or better. And here's a picture of the American crow. Big black birds with a very distinctive cawing call. The other birds that we saw in the book that were not crows were the red-winged blackbird, the European starling, the brown-headed cowbird, the common grackle. Those are all birds that she saw that had black but were not crows. They weren't all black. Some of the non-black birds she saw in this book were the barn swallow, the eastern meadowlark, the red-tailed hawk, and the common yellowthroat. The black-capped chickadee, the northern mockingbird, and the northern cardinal.